Oh, I am so excited to share this with you today. I have had a total paradigm shift about stinging nettle tea over the last few months. I I kind of wrote off nettle tea and a lot of wild teas as something basic, for granola eating hippies, and like I can make something way better out of nettles than tea. Tea's so basic. Even steamed nettles with butter will be even better than that. Well, I was wrong, and there's many reasons why. First, it's freaking delicious and you have to try it. The other thing here that's cool is that if you love nettles like me, you can extend, this allows you to extend the harvesting season because the nettles here, these I'm going to dry, or you could use them fresh. You can harvest them past the stage of edibility where you'd want to eat them as a vegetable. So for dried nettle tea here, just one example with these older plants, if they have, really tough stems, I will just kind of take the leaves off. And you can see I'm handling the nettles. I don't even think these stung me at all. I also kind of strangely crave their sting. I call it the nettle kiss. I don't know. Maybe it's weird, but these didn't even sting me. You can hit them with a rolling pin, crush them, leave them, tie them up, and dry them. If the plants are uh, a little more tender, I might just take the tender tops here, and those I might just dry whole because we can remove the stems later. There's so many different ways to do it. And what you're going to do is just take the plants and make sure they're nice and clean and put them in a dehydrator at 90 Fahrenheit for like 24 hours until they're cracker dry. Then this is pretty important here. I pulse them up in a food processor. If you try to crush them just with your hands and do it manually, the nettles become airborne. There's gonna be nettle in your eyes, in your nose, in your ears. Like you're gonna be covered with them. You're gonna be coughing nettle. After they're dried and pulsed up a little bit, I just put them in a colander to get any big stems out. For 4 cups, which is what I've been making, I'll just put like 2 tablespoons in there. And I've been adding mint too. One thing that's interesting to note, so like with a lot of wild teas, 5 minutes, like regular tea, is not really enough time. The sweet spot for me is like 10 to 20 minutes, or you can just let it sit. It's really hard to over infuse nettle tea. It's really, really forgiving, and it kind of only gets richer and better. Okay, fresh nettle tea, this is the version that I definitely suggest you make and make first. Make sure to add the mint and the maple syrup too. I noticed that after I drank some nettle cooking liquid, it tasted really, really good. And the key here is boiling the plants. If you just infuse the plants, it's going to kind of look like that. And that's like diet nettle tea. It's really just not that interesting at all. So when I talked to Sam Thayer about it, I said, man, I drank some nettle cooking liquid the other day. It was so good. And he said, yeah, I boiled the plants and then he adds the mint after the plants have boiled for a little bit. And he said that boiling the mint, he says it kind of changes the flavor a little bit, makes it kind of resemble horehound, which is kind of a bitter herb used to make candies. Whatever it is, it's crazy good. And the combination of mint, nettle, and like a touch of maple syrup here is so good. So I might let it cool down. I might ice it. I might just let it sit on the counter. This is so forgiving. But after it cools and sits in the fridge, you can see the tea was light before. Now the polychromatism of the nettles is visible, and you can see that the color changed, and it's now like a green that's so saturated that the green looks black. This is one of my favorite parts about nettles, and you'll notice this when you make nettle soup too. Put it in the fridge and make iced nettle tea with maple syrup, mint, and a little bit of lemon. And then, if you're like me, you may laugh out loud because it is so stinking good. Besides tea, and I'm going to use the term tea loosely here at the end, you can use nettles to make fertilizer. It's basically like a fermented witch's brew you leave outside and it smells like a corpse, but it's good for your plants. They're high in nitrogen. And funny enough, the cooking liquid from nettles is slightly mucilaginous, and people have been using it for a long time as a hair rinse. I read about this in Stephen Barstow's book, Around the World in 80 Plants, and I was curious and I had to try it, and it works. Makes your hair super silky, and you can actually buy it on Amazon. Crazy, right? So many cool things you can do with one of my favorite plants. And, after a few cups, you will be well on your way to completing your transformation into being an elf. Full recipes on my website. There's a link at the top of the video description for that. Thanks for watching.